This is our first question. Dr. Horton, do you hear a who?
You know, I've never heard that one before, first of all. Only since I came from the womb have I heard that one. You know, actually, since I hit 50, I hear a lot more than who's. And it's kind of sad.
You know, after 50 years of answering that question, you'd think you'd have a better answer.
I'm just saying it's amazing. If you can be with me for 35 years and never lose your temper, that's really quite remarkable. Even my wife will tell you that.
No, I've never seen you angry in my presence.
That first purpose of procreation, the idea that we would get married and by the grace of God, He would give us children. He would give us babies. Just lots of babies and babies and babies and babies.
But what that tells you is that their entire day, the entire rhythm of their life was organized around worship.
Yeah. They worked through the entire Psalter in a week.
Right.
Every week. They did all 150 Psalms.
And
7 times 7.
Yeah, and they sang them. Yeah.
It's almost...
I don't know what you mean by that, Gabe.
49?
He means being forgiven 70 times.
Okay.
No. 7 Psalms, 1 day, 7 days a week. There you go.
But that's 150 Psalms.
Yeah, well, I was like...
That's right.
I was trying to help you with the math, and I'm like, how do they sing through all the Psalms in 1 week when it's 7 times?
But they don't do just one at a time.
No, they'll do multiple Psalms at every service.
Thank you for clarifying, Glenn. This was just a debate. This was between me and Toby, and I was winning up until you chimed in and you gave him the loop, you know?
No, but
mea culpa.
Some of you will know, and if you don't, there's a really good book in the bookstore, that this is the 400th anniversary of the meeting of the Synod of Dort. They're laughing. Why are they laughing?
Is it okay if I don't recall a moment that I was converted?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Moving on.
The first official sermon I preached, I just remember that I preached and the angel rolled the stone away. Now, don't hold your breath. And I preached on rolling away stones in your life. Now, that is bad preaching.
So your first sermon...
Look, I am still in remediation from that event.
That's really remarkable. John MacArthur's first sermon was a bad sermon.
Oh, it's horrible.
Wow.
And but I'm being honest, nobody would know it if I didn't bring it up because nobody recorded it. Yeah, how could you ignore the resurrection and talk about rolling away stones in your life?
You know, preachers do it all the time.
Part of that, people were saying deep. You know.
Because we've bought into the Greco-Roman myth of romantic love. And so when we say love, a lot of times, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about this Greco-Roman myth that has at the center Cupid. And Cupid, this little cherub, shoots you with his arrow. And when he shoots you with his arrow, there is this overwhelming passion that comes upon you. And you begin to say strange things like, this thing is bigger than both of us. You have to say it just like that too, or it just doesn't work, you know? Or another one, this is one of my favorite. We don't choose who we fall in love with. Help you. And this one here, I don't understand this one, but I love it. It just sounds so cool. The heart wants what it wants. I have no idea what that means.
He felt that he had to control the attitude if he was going to control the action.
Interesting. Well, it worked. I mean, you don't show a lot of attitude. I don't think I've ever... I don't think I've ever seen you. I'm serious. I don't think I have, in 40 years that I've known you, I have never seen you angry. Never. And I asked Patricia about it once, and she said she tried to make you angry and couldn't do it.
Now that's true, everybody would have to agree with that, but it doesn't get you very far in knowing who are the elect children. Now once again, as is so often the case, the Dutch Reformed have it right.
You're playing to the hometown crowd there.
Do you know how seldom I have a hometown crowd?
If that's true, think about it. I mean, what if tomorrow I sit down on an airplane and there's just a woman who sits next to me on the airplane, and it's just this beautiful woman who just wants me? That wasn't supposed to be funny. That can happen. I'm going to talk to this side of the room over here.
And there's a wonderful Dutch immigrant in that church, a godly man, an evangelist from the heart, who in his youth had served in the Dutch Navy in Indonesia. And after I read that statement, one nation is not more worthy than another, he came up to me and he said, I feel so bad. That is not the way we felt in the Dutch Navy in Indonesia when I was there. Well, the law and the gospel were touching that man's heart at a point where he looked back on his life and he said, we felt superior. Now, it's hard when you're Dutch not to feel superior.
Dutch privilege.
My wife would want to say at this point that if you're tempted to say, if you're not Dutch, you're not much.
You can't say that anymore, Bob.
What you really need to say is, if you're not Hungarian, you're a barbarian.
When I came the first time to your house to meet you,
yes,
you sent me over to some Ramada Inn with orange carpet.
Yeah.
To stay there, and they had no heat, and it was in the dead of winter in Chicago, and I had to take the carpet off the floor and put it on top of the bed, not to freeze.
You should have called me. I would have warmed up my car and let you sleep in there.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Great way to start a friendship, Phil.
As one who is courting in college, to what degree does my parents' authority extend?
Who's paying the tuition? That's the first question.
As Steve Nichols will know, there's nothing more useful than history to illustrate a point. The last Christian success in amending the Constitution of the United States began 100 years ago, this year. 100 years ago, the Congress of the United States adopted that great social justice measure to end the sale of alcoholic beverages in America.
2,000 years later.
It was a vastly popular movement in most Christian churches. Yeah.
Except the Dutch.
Yes.
I wrote a book on heaven. You can go to the bookstore afterwards and get a copy of that book. It has a whole section on that, okay? Would you do that, Erica, for her?
And how are we gonna know each other?
How are we going to know each other? Should you just read the book?
Well, you could probably gain a lot by reading the book, or I can just give you the answer and you can forget the book. That's either one. You will have perfected knowledge. Okay?
And I think you rock.
She thinks you rock.
Thank you. I think you roll. Together, we're a perfect combination.